Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about things I didn't like in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Once and Always. Things that didn't quite hit the mark for me. Now, before I start, I love Once and Always. I think it's great. I have talked about how great it is. I love it. This is merely just nitpicking things that I thought should have been better and things that just didn't quite register with me and stuff. And so, one of the things that bugged me was how terrified the Rangers were of Rita, or Robo Rita, I should say. This is very strange and bizarre because Rita was evil, yes, and she did a lot of bad stuff. But Rita was so goofy and everything in Power Rangers, and she was very comedic. So I don't understand why when she showed back up as Robo Rita, and of course she killed Trini. So of course, that made her dangerous and stuff. And but all evil on Power Rangers is bad. But it's just kind of like why when she returned, this was such a big priority that they had to create a Bandora protocol to call every Power Ranger there is to defeat her. I don't get that. And she still has the same power level as she did before. So it's kind of they seem terrified from such a goofy villain, and that doesn't make no sense to me. She's not that evil and everything, and she's been defeated by the Z-Wave and stuff, but it's just that just always was weird that they would create a protocol for every single last Power Ranger to come fight this one villain. She's so terrifying. Even her foot soldiers aren't that terrifying. Even her monsters aren't that terrifying. Next, was Zordon's sacrifice in vain? Was it pointless? Don't get me wrong, and Once and Always, it was very creative how they brought Rita back. And I think that it would have been hard to come up with a logical way for her evil to come back. And so basically it's the Z-Wave hit, and with a lot of the evil bosses, their evil and monster form disappeared and their alien human looking form reappeared, and their evil assumed was destroyed. But now we know it was never destroyed. It just kind of washed off them and spread throughout the galaxy. So it didn't even, so his Z-Wave didn't even destroy evil and stuff. And that's really crappy in my opinion, because the thing about when Zordon sacrificed himself, this is when Power Rangers was going into a different era. They was getting away from the Zordon era and moving forward. They were world building and cooking like never before. And so Zordon's death really hit fans. It hit fans. It hit me especially in my heart, man. It's oh my God, no. Not only did they kill him, but they killed him on screen. And it's just your heart dropped into your gut and everything. And it's it just hit this empty, bottomless hole and everything. And it was just kind of I can't believe they did that. They got rid of Zordon. He is the mentor of the original Power Ranger team. And he's been the mentor since, the first few episodes, or maybe the first episode, or first few episodes of Turbo. And then they just got rid of the dude. And then they replaced him with Demetrio, and nobody liked. And it was just a very sad day in Power Rangers history when that happened. And he did it because he knew that there was so much evil in the universe, and his powers being drained, and and his sacrifice was his last like last thing he could give to the people that like he protected of Earth and then that of the universe. And not only that, but his last like goodbye, his last gift to like that of the Power Rangers who he has mentored. Because he's mentored two teams in general, but he knows Andros and stuff. And he's never met the second 2.0 version of the Turbo Rangers, but like he's helped assist them like behind the scenes. And so this was just very shocking and everything. The Rangers lost their father figure, and so like that has weight to it, like real implications of weight. And so, but now in the Hasbro era, they're all like, hey, Power Rangers is getting to its 30th anniversary. Hey, Power Rangers might be ending. So let's bring back two of the big bads of like, the Mighty Morphin era. And so Dino Fury brought back Lord Zed. I forget how. No. First Beast Morphers did it when they brought back Goldar, Maximus, and everything based on Goldar. And I forget how they did that. It was weird. I think they cloned him somehow. And then in Dino Fury, I forget how they brought Lord Zed back. But they brought him back when he was at his most evil before, he showed up on Earth and started to be like, and started being like silly and everything in season 3. And now, once and always, has brought back Rita. And so it's just kind of like, well, dude, it's kind of like they're undermining that huge sacrifice for fan service and everything. Fan service of bringing back these like major bad guys and everything. But they're forgetting about why he was destroyed in the first place, why he sacrificed himself in the first place. And I think that just like completely undermines, and his sacrifice was just in vain, you know what I'm saying? And it's like Iron Man. Like if they were to bring back Tony Stark or Black Widow, then what was the point of them dying and everything? It's kind of like in comics when a hero dies and they just come back to life. And they do that just for like the fans. But sometimes the fans deserve just to have that like sacrificial death. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because it was such a huge part of their story. Now, probably one reason why they got rid of Zordon is because two people played him in the show. One dude did the facial expressions and the other one did the voice. And the one that did the facial expressions only did it in the pilot. And so they kept reusing the same stock footage of him like turning around, looking at the Rangers, talking. And it tricked me, man. I thought like by Zeo and Turbo, they was filming new stuff. But they tricked me, man. And the voice actor dude, I'm not sure when he died, but I think it was way after In Space. So they were trying to get away from that, because they were trying to bring on more mentors and, Ranger stories being far, far away and stuff like that. And they couldn't keep having Zordon be there. And so, like, but still, I just think, like, bringing back all these bad guys and now knowing every monster he destroyed, their evil spirit is still out there somewhere, and it could easily take hold and take shape of like someone or something to be reformed. And that to me just pisses me off. Next is the whole SPA thing. That was a very unexpected, like Easter egg type thing. This is from the Disney era, and most Disney era stuff don't really be brought back up. Every once in a while it does, but not really. And so this was like a very shocking thing, but there was no backstory to this whatsoever. Now, of course, they expect die-hard Power Ranger fans like myself to know what this means, but the casual viewer or somebody who hasn't watched Power Rangers after a certain season might not know what the heck this means. Of course, it's a nod to SPD, Space Patrol Delta. This is Space Patrol Alpha. And apparently, Space Patrol Alpha is very similar to that of Space Patrol Delta. And Space Patrol Delta were police officers that, a police force. And some of their rangers were police officers. No, some of their officers were Power Rangers. And they had to fight against Grodd and the Trubian Empire and stuff like that, which gets brought up, the Trubian Empire and stuff. So all of this is going on with Doggy Kruger, you know, fighting them and all this other stuff. But here's the thing, in the SPD, there's never ever been a mention of SPA. And so it would have been nice to, or it would have really been nice to have some explanation to all this. Are they a police force? Are they a space force? Are they science officers? Like, what exactly are they? You know, are they astronauts and stuff? Who built SPA and everything? And how did it go from? I guess you have to go to like the military ranks of Alpha, Beta, Gamma, and Delta. And so, like, does that mean there's more than one? Or no, actually, tell you the truth, that must have mean that since in the SPD series, every other force like them was SPD, that must mean SPA at some point fell. They was not able to complete their mission and they failed. And then SPB, that sounds weird. SPB, they failed, and SPG, they must have failed as well, to where Delta was the latest one to succeed. And so what happens to the fate of now Adam and Aisha? Are they gone? Like, you know, when SPA fell or what? And also, why did, like, you know, Adam and Aisha join SPA? Are they the ones who created it? Do they run it? Like, you know, what exactly is going on with this? You know what I'm saying? And they really should have, like, explained this. Now, I get it. They had to find a way to write Aisha and Adam off the show because they are also the Black and Yellow Ranger from Mighty Morphin. And, you know, they had to find a way, you know, to keep Trini and to keep, like, Zach and stuff like that. But they really should have, like, you know, explained this a whole lot more. And also, Billy gave them the cloaking device. But did he build, like, you know, all their tech and everything? So, what exactly is going on? That would have been a nice way to explain it. And instead of having people go, whoa, man, what's going on? I guess the dialogue, sure, why not? The dialogue is a bit cheesy, a bit 90s. And I get it. People of a certain era, they still talk in that way. Like, you know, I still say dude and stuff like that. But, you know, people do mix it up with some more, you know, modern day slang terms and stuff. And they never did. So it would have been nice to, like, you know, up the ante on the slang. Another thing, the action. The action was okay. The action was very Mighty Morphin style. But you know something? Power Rangers has evolved in the action department, especially in the Disney era. The Disney era has some of the best action I've ever seen. And for a reunion special, you gotta bring your A game for the action. Forever Red did this. A lot of the crossovers did this. And even some of the specials used to do this. Not no more, but they used to. Like with Once a Ranger in Operation Overdrive, they had good choreography and everything. And you gotta bring your A game. You gotta have that selling point, and the action has to be top notch. And so I was very disappointed to see that it was just basic Mighty Morphin fighting style and stuff. And the same thing goes for like the weapons. Like they should have had more fighting scenes with the action. This should have been movie cinema type like fighting like they've done in other stuff. Forever Red will always floor me and have my jaw on the ground with how great that action was and stuff. The morphing sequence. Look, man, this thing is too outdated. They needed a more up-to-date morphing sequence. Once and Always did them justice when Adam morphed and that beautiful background CGI design. They just took what made Mighty Morphin sequence and just updated it in a more high def fashion. That high def is very jarring to the eyes because everything's brightly colored and there's a lot of high def resolution in that, and it just didn't translate well. Next is the music. I mean, come on, man. How could they not incorporate all the music from the Mighty Morphin 90s series? Like, you had to have that in there. It would get you jazzed and pumped. This music was more your generic Power Rangers music. And I get it, there's a copyright issues, but they could have tried to work something out, or they could have found like a new band to sound similar to like the older band for the older music. The next one's gonna be just like production value and the time spent making this. It seemed pretty rushed. I think it pretty much was. I think they only had like a couple of weeks to film this because when it comes to Simon Bennett, I'm pretty sure he was blindsided by like this special because he was working on like Cosmic Fury and probably I think Dino Fury was done probably, but I know he was working on Cosmic Fury, and David Yost has penned this like love letter to the fans, and he pitched the idea to Hasbro, and because this was not Hasbro's like intentions. Seriously, if this is the 30-year anniversary and this might be the last season of the traditional Power Rangers, you think they will want to have like a special reunion type thing. But they didn't. And David Yost is the one who made this possible. So they're all like, oh, we love this idea. Let's do that. See, originally, I believe the reason why JDF didn't want to do it is because originally they wanted to take part of his Legend of the White Dragon storyline and incorporate it into this, and he wasn't having that. And he's been burnt by them so many times in the past that he just said, screw it, he ain't gonna do it. And he divorced himself from the company and everything. And so like, or the franchise, I should say. And so, like, they went on board with this whole reunion special penned by David Yost. And Simon Bennett has literally said, reasons why, like, some things are the way they are in this is because they didn't have the budget for it. They didn't have much time whatsoever to do it. It's like the Megazord that I'll later on get into. Actually, I put this. I'll link the Megazord to this discussion. Like the Megazord, the reason why they couldn't have a suit actor is because they didn't have time to build the suit, and so like they just used the model that was given to them by Hasbro, which was I guess of like the Zap Ascension project and stuff. Which, by the way, Simon Bennett has no idea what the Zap Ascension project even is, and it's weird because he's in charge of the show. I guess he has no input of how the toys are made and stuff like that, and so he doesn't even know what the toy line is and stuff like when it comes to like the Zap Ascension project. And so he was given the blueprints of like the Megazord and stuff, and they had to rush together as fast as they can to make a convincing looking Megazord. They did okay with the individual Zords, but the actual Megazord itself, it looked the way it did and everything. And if they would have just like planned this in advance and give them the budget that they needed in the time, it could have been so much better. Because Robo Rita's face looks terrible and everything. It looks a little bit like Mondo from the Machine Empire. And, even her staff looked terrible. You can tell that's like foam and cardboard and whatever. It did not look good and stuff. And they couldn't even get her outfit right. Like, her outfit is supposed to look identical to the one it did on the show. And you can tell by several features of the outfit, it's off and everything. not having the entire original cast back was really sad, man. Like no Tommy, no Kimberly, no Jason, and because those three either couldn't or wouldn't in their thing, and it was really sad. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause it was the reunion special of the original six, and of course JDF. He divorced himself from the franchise. Austin is a criminal apparently and everything. And Amy said she didn't want to do for what was offered to her, but then she posted that Instagram story about how she's been battling her demons again during the time that that was like in production and stuff. And it just would have been nice to have them. Now, of course, that means Kat and Rocky couldn't be in it. Most likely they would have been in SPA and everything. And that would have been sad to see them just have like a throwaway couple of lines like Adam and Aisha. And, it would have been nice to have the entirety of like, not just the 1.0, but the 2.0 cast and stuff. The proxy coins. Like, look, man, I just think that's like a weird way to go about giving them their powers again. There could have been so many different ways they could have done that. It's never truly been well, it has been explained about how like past Rangers get their powers back, and also it hasn't. Was it Sentinel Knight? Did Alpha go into the morphing grid again? The morphing masters. Like sometimes it's explained and sometimes it's not. And like legendary battle, how the heck they get all their powers back? The ones that lost them. And they could just went the master morpher route. It's not really explained, but at least it's good enough. And even back with dimensions and danger and stuff like that, why didn't Rocky and Kat have a master morpher? Like they had multiple costumes as well. Also, why didn't Gia use her super mega force mode? And the changing of the Rangers. And it's just like I said before, it's like they don't give these reunion specials anymore time to like cook and everything. And they should have had master morphers in this instead of like proxy coins. Now, a lot, and then not only that, but the whole, not sharing too much Ranger energy. Like, you can't have two Rangers of the same like group, utilize the same power. But, in fan canon or whatever, head canon, you can have them split the power. I mean, that's what I assumed happened in season 2 with the Sword of Power. I assumed it just split the red, yellow, and black powers in half and gave them to the other ones and stuff. That could have been an easier way to explain it. Like that could explain why, Kimberly, no, not Kimberly, but Aisha and Trini could shared the same coin, and so like the others and stuff, and so like but creating proxy coins was just kind of like weird, for their contingency plan and stuff. Because think about it, when the other Rangers got captured, why didn't they just make proxy coins of those as well? You know what I'm saying? And then they could have had another green, another red. Oh no, they already had red. But you know what I'm saying? And so like also where's the White Ranger at? They could have had a proxy coin for that or something. And I don't know, I just thought that it was just like a weird way to explain them getting their powers back. Not really giving Rocky or Kat anything to do other than just to fill in. Like, I know Rocky and Kat don't technically know Trini the way we would think she would know her because they came in later. But, Rocky has at least met her a few times back in season 2, just off screen, you know what I'm saying? And, like, as time went on off screen, they've all hung out with each other and fought with each other and everything. And so it's just kind of weird that those two were absent for like, the anniversary of her death. And you think if they're all such great friends and this and that, they would have attended the grave like reunion thing to put flowers on and stuff like that. Now, it was nice to know that Rocky has a job afterwards, being a firefighter. Kat, on the other hand, they just made her a housewife and a mother. Like, we don't know what she does for a living. She apparently just takes care of her son and attend to like her husband needs. And somehow she knows how to work heavy, like crane type equipment, construction equipment. Maybe she's a construction worker, but we don't know because it's never explained. But they literally gave Kat the most generic thing they could have gave her: a housewife mother. Like, that's it. Back in the 1950s, that's what they made her. 1960s, a housewife. And it's kind of like when they made Adam, like in Once and Always. No, not Once and Always, Once a Ranger. Like when they said, oh, okay, he's Asian, he knew martial arts in the past. Okay, he works at a karate dojo and everything. The most generic thing they could give them. Now, Zach being a congressman was really cool. I did not see that coming. I get why they couldn't film at like City Hall and nothing like that because, time restraints. But it would have been nice to explain, while being a congressman after all these years, how come he has no family? How come he's not married? How come he doesn't have any kids? Like, that would have been nice to explain because he pretty much gave up his entire life to take care of men and everything. And that's just weird. Like, why did he have to stop being a congressman just to take care of somebody else's child? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because Congress people have kids. But they wanted to explain it why he lives in that house and not his own house, or why he doesn't, and stuff like that. But that was always just weird. I never really liked that. What the heck happened to Alpha 5? Like, Alpha 5 has not been seen or heard from since the first couple of episodes of Turbo when he left. But then he reappeared in Passing the Torch. And so, like, but he reappeared in his old design. That never made no sense. And so, what happened to him? I'm glad he wasn't the alpha that got, assimilated by Rita, but he could have been brought in instead of Alpha 9 and everything. Also, where is Alpha 7 at? Like, I know Alpha 6 is on Marinoid. But Alpha 7 was I believe he was the one that was in Forever Red. Now, the one that was in Once a Ranger, I can't remember if that was 6 or 7. I think it was 7. So, where is he? He last was seen with Adam, but how come he wasn't at SPA with Adam? And so, like, where are those other alphas at? Alpha 5 should have been brought in after Alpha 8, got assimilated and stuff. The Lightning figure collection. That was really clever and smart. And the way they hit like the joints and they put other material on to highlight certain joints and stuff like that. That was really cool. But this is what I'm saying about Hasbro, man, because Simon Bennett had to explain this as well. He's like the James Gunn of Power Rangers, always explaining things on Twitter. And so, like, he said that, I guess, what is it? Somebody who works for the show literally had to find as many of the toys as they could and stuff them, in like a bag and get on the plane and come on over there. So I guess they must have came from like America or something like that. And all I could think to myself was like, you think Hasbro would have supplied the production with the actual toys. Now, they supplied them with some of the ones that recently just came out, like Shadow Ranger and stuff. Because, with the Shadow Ranger, this dude is hard to find. And I'm so glad now it's been canon that he is not Billy. Why did fans think that? What would possess them to think that that's Billy? He doesn't even sound like Billy. And why would he fall in love with Cassie for, and she's underage? Like, fans are just weird like that. But anyways, and so, like, they had, like, the Galaxy Rangers be captured. But they're all the way on Miranoi. So how in the world did they get to Earth that fast? Because not every ranger can teleport. And also when you teleport to one planet to another, it's extremely difficult. So how in the world did they get to Earth that fast and stuff? And because they're all the way on Miranoi. And so, like, you know, even the SPA couldn't get there that fast. And they're in a giant ship. And so, like, I think Hasbro should have literally, like, you know, given them the budget to order whatever Lightning figures are still available and stuff and have it sent, like, rush delivery, you know what I'm saying? Or just supply them with something for free. But Hasbro is so cheap like that. And you know they're cheap because have you seen a lot of their Power Ranger stuff lately they put out? Cheap plastic. Pinless Rangers. No paint. And so, like, with this, another thing that disappointed me was there are tons of New Zealand stars that were Power Rangers still living in New Zealand. Not all of them live in America. And so it would have made sense if she's capturing Rangers to bring back those New Zealand stars that still live in New Zealand, you know, put them in costume and have them be captured and also have their Lightning figure. But of course, I guess they didn't have it. Or they could have CG'd their Lightning figure or just remastered, like, you know, one that's already available or just something, you know. Like, I'm pretty sure somebody in New Zealand has the older toys from those seasons. They could have been like, hey, can we borrow this and stuff like that, you know? But this is, again, Hasbro not, like, putting in the money and effort and stuff. And so it would have made sense for, like, Jace from Dino Charge to show up because he actually lives in New Zealand and he showed up for the Beast Morpher, like, special and stuff. And there are so many others that still live in either Australia or New Zealand. So having them get captured would have made more sense. Killing Harvey Garvey. Now, I don't care about Harvey Garvey, but, I mean, come on now. That was the weirdest Easter egg ever. It was a funny, like, that's a true Easter egg. That is a true Easter egg, but it was a pointless one. Nobody remembers this one-time dude. And, you know, you had to have detectives literally figure out who this dude is and why the camera kept panning on his gravesite. But why him of all people, especially when the actor is still alive? And that makes you wonder, was there something going on behind productions that, you know, he didn't get along with people maybe? Like, what went on? You know what I'm saying? Like, why him? And, you know, it should have been Ernie and everything. Ernie would have been a nice send-off for that character because the actor died as well. And so having been his grave and his Easter egg would have meant a whole lot more than Harvey Garvey. The juice bar. I have some conflictions about this. It was nice to see. Everybody assumed it was like in the past, but no, it's current day. And the only problem I have with that is when did it go back to being the juice bar? It was the juice bar, Ernie's juice bar. Then Lieutenant Stone, like, you know, bought it and it was still the juice bar. Then Adele bought it and revamped the entire thing. It wasn't even the youth center no more. Now it was just like her surf shop place or whatever. And where they serve like French fries and stuff like that. And so when did it go back to being Ernie's juice bar? Because we're never going to see Ernie again because he sadly passed away. It would have made more sense for it to be Bulk and Skull sandwich shop and everything. And so those are just my little complaints about things I didn't like in the special. Like I said before, I still love the special. I still think it's great. But it was just little things here and there that just didn't make sense, you know? Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.